In this step of your lab, you will be using the first data table that you created in order to calculate the values that will go into your second data table. I want to spend a minute and show you a quick and efficient way to do this using the function mode of Google Sheets. Your first data table should contain the radius of various circles and the number of objects that fit into each circle. I've made up some data here that I will use for demonstration purposes. Your second data table is going to need to contain the radius values squared in the first column and the same number of objects that fit into each circle in the second column. The beautiful thing about a spreadsheet is that we can tell the spreadsheet to use one cell in order to calculate the value in another cell. In this case, I would like the value in cell L3 to be equal to the value in cell I3 squared. In order to do that, in cell L3, I will start by typing an equals sign. Notice that appearing in the top left-hand corner where it says FX. The equal sign indicates to the spreadsheet that we are going to tell it to do some calculations. Here, I would like to take the value in cell I3 and square it. So I will click cell I3. Notice that it highlights cell I3 and puts I3 up in this FX row. The indication that we are using a formula is that I3 is written in that orange color and it's underlined. That tells us that it's not just the letter I and the number 3, but that we're talking about a particular cell in the spreadsheet. Now, I'm going to tell the spreadsheet to take I3 and square whatever value is in that cell. The way we tell it to square something is we use the caret key. That's the little partially upwards arrow that's right above the number 6. That says take this value to the power of, and I want this to be to the second power or squared. All right, so now I have equals cell I3 to the second power. When I press enter, notice that the value that's now in cell L3 is this value in cell I3 squared. 1 squared equals 1. Now, the really cool thing about the spreadsheet is that I can take this formula and drag the formula down to a whole row of cells. So I've highlighted cell L3 again, and see this square box? If I put my cursor right over the square box, I get this plus sign. If I drag that down, it pulls that same formula down into all 5 of these cells. And notice what it's done. 2 squared equals 4, 3 squared equals 9, 4 squared equals 16, 5 squared equals 25. And if I click on any individual cell, I can see the formula up here. The formula for cell L5 is to take cell I5 and square it. I5 is here. The other column we need to fill in is the number of objects that fit into each circle. We basically want this exact same column to appear over here. Now, I could highlight this column, copy, and then paste it over in this column. But just to practice using formulas, I'm going to take this cell, M3, I'm going to highlight it and click equals. And I just want this to be equal to whatever value I have in this cell, J3. So notice over here it just says equals J3. I click enter and it will copy this number 3 right over into that cell. I'm then going to take that formula, pull down here, and now I have every value in this column is exactly the same as the value in this column. Now that you have values in both of your tables, you're going to follow step 4 and make a scatter chart for each table. Have fun.